Every leader wants to delegate, but not every leader should. Why? Because delegation isn't a reward, it's a risk. Every time you delegate authority, you're trusting someone else with your reputation, your customers, your culture, and sometimes your whole business. That's why great leaders don't ask, who can I delegate this to? They first ask, have I built someone I can trust? They say micromanagement is an unpopular term in business. Employees hate being micromanaged, and most leaders do not enjoy having to do it. But what if I told you micromanagement isn't always bad leadership? Sometimes it's responsible stewardship. The real problem isn't that leaders micromanage. The real problem arises when they never build people beyond it. So today we're going to learn when micromanagement is necessary, when delegation is appropriate, and how great leaders know the difference. Welcome back to the Leadership Dilemma series. My name is Bertrand Maimo, and I help leaders think differently so they can build businesses, careers, and lives that last. Because sustainable success isn't built on motivation. It's built on stewardship. And if you're committed to building something that outlives you, please subscribe and join us every week. A healthy delegation is earned. It's not given. So delegation isn't about reducing one's workload. It's about increasing someone else's capacity. So then here's the question we gotta ask. Why do so many leaders get it wrong? That's because they don't pay attention to the difference between delegation and micromanagement. Most leaders simply do what they have learned to do through their own careers, through how they were trained. And that's leadership by habit. It doesn't often produce the best results. So let's start with understanding the difference between delegation and micromanagement. Delegation is the intentional transfer of responsibility and authority. That's how I'll define it. Micromanagement, on the other hand, is assigning tasks and duties while withholding authority. There are two unhealthy extremes I want you to think of. Andy delegates too early. His mindset is, I hired you to figure it out. What are the results there? Mistakes, inconsistent quality, wasted time, money, and energy, and ultimately frustration. Ericka, on the other hand, Ericka never delegates. She has that I'll do it myself fever. What are the results on this other extreme? Burnout, bottlenecks, stagnation, resentment. You see, neither leader is building to last. Every leader is a steward. Your responsibility is not simply getting today's work done. It's developing people who can get it done without you. These are tomorrow's leaders, and they only grow through assigned responsibility. Think of assigned responsibility as a spectrum. On one end, you've got micromanagement, and on the other, you've got delegation. These aren't opposites. They're different stages of a person's development journey. Because I'm a student of the leadership process, I have an inclination towards frameworks. I love frameworks. And here's a framework that can help you rethink your approach to delegation, thorough delegation. Write it down, the trust framework. T is for training. Ask yourself this question. Have they received appropriate training? R is for repetition. Have they successfully done this several times? Remember, once success isn't consistent enough for full assumption of responsibility, yes? U is for understanding. Do they demonstrate understanding? Understanding the why, not just the how. You see, people who only know steps struggle when conditions change. They can only embrace limited levels of responsibility. And S is for sound judgment. Can they make good decisions independently? This shows up in their ability to detect and correct issues. And finally, T is for their track record as a whole. Have they demonstrated reliability over time? This is simply the ability to deliver results, good results, without close supervision. The more you can answer yes to these questions, the closer you are to the delegation end of the spectrum. The more your answer is no, the closer you are to the micromanagement end of the spectrum. Just remember, though, that micromanagement is sometimes necessary. And you know, micromanagement isn't always caused by a desire for control. It's sometimes often leadership's response to low trust. In situations like that, the goal isn't to normalize micromanagement. It's to eliminate it by creating opportunities to build trust. Now, let's talk about the do's and don'ts of micromanagement. Do these. Number one, explain why oversight exists. Number two, teach without overcorrecting. Number three, create a visible pathway to delegation. You see, employees should know exactly what must improve to assume more authority and responsibility. Because when you micromanage without an exit strategy, that's control. That's just a desire for power. But with respect to don'ts, please don't confuse activity with productivity. Don't embarrass people publicly, and don't keep competent people under unnecessary control and pressure. Healthy delegation, on the other hand, begins when we transfer responsibility and authority, not to reduce workload. It is through delegation that great managers and leaders reproduce themselves. They equip the company and give it the opportunity to scale by reproducing themselves. So, what are three do's of delegation? Do delegate outcomes, not just tasks. Do delegate with realistic expectations based on available resources. Do delegate while maintaining healthy touch points. You see, delegation doesn't mean you check out of the process. It doesn't mean disappearance, only to resurface with questions when there's a crisis. Now, how about three don'ts with respect to delegation? Don't delegate because you're overwhelmed. Don't delegate without a plan, and don't delegate and turn around and micromanage. See, when my teenage son first mowed the lawn, I realized that my dream of having him take on that responsibility completely was unrealistic, because the results were a shabby attempt at best. Not because he was unwilling, but because he did not have the necessary training. So what did I do? First, I had him observe while I did the work. Next, he assisted me as we worked together. Then I allowed him to do the work while I coached him. And finally, I empowered him with full responsibility, because trust had been built. You see, my friends, throughout scripture, God rarely gives responsibility before preparation. Joseph, Moses, David, Samuel, the apostles, long list. Preparation always preceded promotion, and leadership should do the same. The measure of a leader, a manager, or anyone in authority is not how much they control. It's how many people become trustworthy because they were led well. And it's not about choosing micromanagement or delegation as a management style. It's about moving people across the spectrum based on their trust score. Remember that one day someone else will be responsible for making a decision because of responsibility you gave them. That decision will affect the customer, it will affect the family, it will affect an organization, and maybe even generations. That is why leadership is stewardship. And we do not delegate responsibility because we're tired. We delegate because we're preparing people to carry responsibilities we won't always have the capacity to carry ourselves. When as leaders we learn to move people from micromanaging to full delegation through training, we build a workforce that can be trusted with responsibility. And that's exactly how we build businesses that last. I want to thank you all for watching this video today. We review the stats and see that most of the people that watch repeatedly do not subscribe. Please, we are trying to get to a 50% retention rate from a subscription perspective. You could help us by liking, sharing, subscribing. It allows this channel to grow, and it allows new business owners, refined business owners, people who are looking to scale and are looking for information, to get the information that they need. Recording today's video was challenging. I had a long day, a difficult day, and I was a few minutes away from canceling. But then I remembered that there was someone that was looking forward to this information because of a current challenge they're going through. New promotion and trying to figure out, transitioning from a role where they were the ones being delegated to a role where they were the ones doing the delegating. And you'd be surprised how little challenges like this can really make or break our work environment, our businesses. So thank you for your support. I guess I'm inspired by walking the walk that I preach, where I say consistency is more important than perfection. And today I showed up consistently and not perfectly. And if I'm doing it, then in your business, in your household, in your faith, you can do it too. Bertrand Maimo, and I'll see you at the top. Looking forward to talking next week.